Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know by now I review many photographic, audio, video related products. Well, today we're looking at two cameras. I've been asked by many people which of these two is the best one to buy. And quite honestly, with any camera, there isn't a best because they all have pros and cons, whether you're looking at full frame, whether you're looking at medium format even, whether you're looking at APS-C, micro four thirds, whatever it might be. They've all got pros and cons. I often say to friends of mine, it'd be wonderful if you could go to a manufacturer and would say, right, I want a camera design and I want the bits taken from the Olympus, it has amazing image stabilization, bits from Panasonic that have great video features, bits from Nikon because they've got great handling, bits from Sony because the autofocus is phenomenal. You get the gist, you get the idea. Well, that unfortunately is never going to happen, is it? There is never going to be the perfect camera because what is great for one person certainly isn't for somebody else. But waffling on, let's talk about the two cameras that I'm on about. One of them is the Panasonic G9. I had to look at it first to make sure it was the G9 that I'd picked up. One of them is the Panasonic G9. Here it is. Great camera. I would say off the bat that this is an ideal stills camera. Out of these two, I'm only talking about these two, but this would be better for stills, but also great for video, but more centered towards a stills camera. Still a hybrid camera, but that's the Panasonic G9. Fantastic grip. And the other one we're going to quickly talk about is the new Panasonic Gh5 Mark II. And that's the Gh5 Mark II. Still got a pretty decent grip, but it's a much chunkier camera. This is definitely more video related or video centric than it is stills centric. And I actually find that I'm getting better stills from the G9 than I am on the Gh5 Mark II, which is bizarre because it's got exactly the same sensor, the same algorithms and what have you. I'm just wondering if it's a handling thing because I really don't enjoy the grip and the handling of a Gh5 Mark II. It's fat. It's just, I don't find it comfortable. So I wouldn't want to walk around all day with a Gh5 Mark II in my hand for taking stills. But if I was doing video, this is definitely the one that I would pick for video. And I'm going to quickly go through the pros and cons between the two different models. They're priced very differently as well, to be honest. The G9 is phenomenal value for money. And I would say the Gh5 is going to be phenomenal value for money. The Gh5 Mark II is good value for money for what it can do, particularly if you're a video producer. It's phenomenal value for money. If you're a hobbyist, not so much so. But that's the Gh5 Mark II. Looks identical to the Gh5, to be honest. They've stuck a red record button on the top here. I actually use the shutter button for video as well as stills. So that's the Gh5 Mark II. Now, let's just quickly go through why I would choose the G9 for stills then. Firstly, it is the handling, the grip. It's a beautiful grip. Although it's micro four thirds, it's quite a big camera for a micro four thirds body. I'll put the weight in the description for the G9. And as I say, it is quite a big camera. It's got on the side two UHS 2 card slots, so you've got redundancy built in, and standard SD cards, but it is UHS 2, so you've got a good burst rate there. It's a fast read and write speeds on the G9, same as on the Gh5 Mark II. On the other side, you've got your headphone, microphone jacks. So it has got the headphone and microphone jack for video, and all importantly, it's got your large HDMI ports. So you've got a really, and that's what makes it, this is another reason why you can see this is a pro camera, because of build quality. It's weather sealed, same as a Gh5 Mark II. But as I say, it's got the all important large size HDMI port and standard 3.5mm jacks for your headphone and microphone. Interestingly, the microphone port is higher than the articulating screen. So if you are plugging mics in, it won't interfere with the articulating screen. The headphones will, but I suspect if you're working by yourself, you'll check the sound and then take the headphones out. So that's not really going to be too much of an issue. standard controls on the top. You've got your LCD plate for seeing the settings. You can actually turn the light on as well, as you can see there. So that's phenomenal. Standard PASM dial for setting your automatic, aperture priority, program, shutter priority, video, whatever. And it's got custom settings 1, 2 and 3, so you can pre-assign your settings. One great thing with a G9 and with a Gh5 Mark II, you can save those settings to an SD card and then put them on your computer and store them. That's great if you have to reformat reset the camera to its factory settings. You've got the settings saved. And it's also great if you need another couple of cameras, or even one camera, and you want to use the same settings. You might borrow one off a friend if you're doing a multiple shoot. You might hire one in. You can you put the settings on the SD card and load them back into the camera, and another camera, so you always end up with the settings being exactly the same. So that's awesome. So reason why I would use this for stills, the viewfinder is phenomenal. It's better than the viewfinder on the Gh5 Mark II. I will put in the video what the brightness and resolution of a viewfinder is, but what's great about it, you can, particularly for spectacle wearers such as me, you can push this button in on the top here, and then that will make the viewfinder a little bit smaller or a bit bigger depending on how many times you push it. So you get tremendous eye relief if you're wearing glasses. So I think that's a fantastic feature. And that's one of the big reasons I find this better for stills when I do the Gh5 Mark II. And the handling, the grip is phenomenal. It's got a really good fast burst rate, which I don't think the Gh5 II can match, although the sensor's identical. It's predominantly the viewfinder, and the handling is a really great stills camera, but a great hybrid camera. Batteries is the standard battery that Panasonic provide, but what's clever, it would also take the new, that's a new one actually in there, it will take the new battery that gives you a little bit more ampage, that's designed for the Gh5 Mark II and the S5. So that's the new type battery, which has got the extra pins on the top. You can see those extra pins on the top there, and that is great. Just slots in the bottom there. You can get grips for the G9 as you can with the Gh5 Mark II, but I don't do that because it's big enough as it is. I don't want to make it any bigger. Video, yeah, it's got your 10-bit codecs. It's got all the codecs you could ever imagine, picture profiles. You can buy Vlog for it, which is a very flat profile. It's a log profile similar to the Sony log, S-Log 2 and 3, similar to the Canon C-Log, etc, etc. And that's great for grading if you're doing professional grading. I just shoot in a standard picture profile here in the studio. I tend not to get involved too much in colour grading. It's not really my scene. I don't really need to, I don't think. Not for what I do. I'm not producing, feature content or whatever, feature films or, anything like that. I'm just producing my YouTube videos. And I'm getting a lot of good feedback. So I don't think that's an issue. As long as it's in focus, well, the colours are good, the sound is good, and it's in focus. I hate videos where, they're not in focus. They irritate the hell out of me. And that's the G9. Now the G9 has got the new version 2.4 firmware, so the autofocus for stills is phenomenal. It's depth and defocus, but it's straight in, boom, brilliant stuff. It's really snappy and really fast, so I do like that. And it has got the new animal eye detect and human eye detect. But it's also got animal, as well as animal eye detect. If it can't see the eye, it'll pick up the face. And if it can't see the face, it'll pick up the body. So it's got three, varieties of getting that focus right. Same as on the Gh5 Mark II. So don't need to repeat that with the Gh5 Mark II. The autofocus algorithm is great on the Gh5 Mark II. So, yeah, there we go. So I would say as a hybrid camera is great. With video, you've only got a 30-minute record limit. So do bear that in mind if you're planning to do events, maybe even weddings. I wouldn't buy it if you're really big into video because of that record limit. That's why I love my Sony A7Cs, my ZV-1. I can keep on going and going and not worry, they don't overheat. So that is a fantastic feature, and they'll keep on going through either the battery runs out or the card fills up. With a G9, it will stop at 30 minutes. You can start it again, but you will get that break. It's not continuous. That's just something to bear in mind. But a great hybrid camera if that isn't an issue for you. Now the Gh5 Mark II, on the other hand, is the other way around. It's far more a video camera than it is a stills camera. It's very capable of taking great stills. Don't get me wrong, I'll show you some. I'm going to go through a few quick ones in a moment, but it's certainly very capable of taking great stills. But most people would not buy it as a stills camera. Certainly maybe as a hybrid camera, certainly is a hybrid camera, but more for video than stills. Now, the video has got many features. Crikey, the list goes on and on and on. But suffice to say, if you want a video camera, this is the one to get, you know, or the S5, any of the Panasonic range. Now, it is still depth and defocus. It hasn't got the fantastic phase detect autofocus that the Sonys are renowned for and the Canons are renowned for. But if you look at this clip, they've pretty much, as best they can, cured the autofocus. If you're doing this kind of presentation, you know, piece to camera like this, you might be interviewing people, whatever. This will produce that, no problem. It's not pulsing, the image is great, the image looks great, you know. And particularly if you're a pro cameraman and you've got somebody working behind the camera, then you can use manual focus. Then by heck, the Panasonic range of cameras do take some beating. They really do. I've said in many other videos actually, if Panasonic did introduce phase detect autofocus on their sensors, they would take a lot of business away from Canon and Sony. I'm absolutely sure of that. On the side here, it has got your full-size HDMI ports. It's got your microphone jack, headphone jack, you know, pretty traditional. Again, it's the new style battery that the Gh5 Mark II takes. Again, you can see there, same as what I've got in the G9. So you can swap around batteries, it's great. It takes all the same accessories as the Gh5 does. And the video codecs go on and on. You've got all your internal 10-bit recording, 422 10-bit, the G9 is 420. So again, another advantage with a Gh5 Mark II. It's got your two SD card slots, both UHS 2 compatible, so you've got fast read and write speeds, particularly when you're doing your 422 10-bit 4K. You really do need that kind of writing speeds. You know, it's got your fairly traditional, it's a bit of a boring top plate. It hasn't got the display that the G9 has got, but it's got your PASM dial, 3-inch articulating screen on the back, is phenomenal. One thing I do like that the G9 has been upgraded to, and the Gh5 Mark II has now, is when you do hit record, you get a red frame around the monitor, so you can actually see from a distance that it is actually recording. The G9 does that as well now with a 2.4 firmware update, so that is tremendous news that they've incorporated that, because quite often you didn't even know if it was running. Like with my A7R III, I don't know if that's running, simply because, why is that on? Simply because there's no record frame. I don't know if it is running, so a bit of a downfall that, but yeah, great camera. And I say, if you're looking at video, the G9, the Gh5 Mark II would be a better bet with stills complementing it, because it's a better video camera. There is no record limit either with a Gh5 Mark II. It'll keep on recording until both cards fill up, because you can set this to relay. So you can set it to record to one, and then it will swap over to record to the other one. So then it will just keep on going and going and going until either the battery runs out or the SD card fills up. But the great thing also with this, you can power this off a USB block while you're actually filming. So it's continuous, just the same as you can with a Sony ZV-1. Great feature that, really nice feature. So we'll just keep on going. There's many other things one can say about the Gh5 Mark II, but I don't think I need to say any more. This is just a very quick comparison between the two. The Gh5 Mark II is definitely a better video camera. The G9 handles better for stills, and it's got your better burst rates and what have you, and a better grip for doing, you know, handheld. They've both got your 5-axis image stabilization, again for stills and for video. So that point of, from that point of view, they're both phenomenal. As far as stills are concerned, yeah, it is the Gh5 Mark II. Again, I've managed to get some really nice images out of the Gh5 Mark II. They're beautifully sharp. It all depends on what lenses you're using. I've used cheap lenses and more expensive lenses. Obviously, the better with any camera, the better quality lens you can use, the better your results are going to be. That pretty much goes without saying. Yeah, look at the sharpness. And then again, the eye detect for animals as well as human. It's got the human eye detect, obviously, and body detect, but it just nails it. Both the Gh5 Mark II, I mean, look at that, wow. Both the Gh5 Mark II and the G9 nail the autofocus, and the image quality for micro four thirds. I mean, both these cameras have got the 20 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. There is nothing wrong with micro four thirds. Yeah, you might suffer a bit in low light, but even again with these modern sensors, they handle low light so much better than what micro four thirds did, say, 2 or 3 years ago. You know, yeah, brilliant camera. Again, you know, fantastic. And again, if you look at sample images taken on the G9, where are we? G9 favourites. Oh, that's zoomed in a bit so you can see there how good these images are. You know, nothing wrong with either of them. Now, rather than bore you to tears looking at them on here, because there's loads, you know, and it isn't just how good, you know, faces are, it's how good everything is. You know, whatever you're photographing is going to be sharp, it's going to be crisp, you know. But rather than go through them on here, take a look at my Flickr page. There'll be a link in the description to my Flickr page, so you can actually view the images you know, at your leisure, and you'll see much better resolution looking at them on Flickr than you will do on YouTube. YouTube's compression is so heavy sometimes that, you know, you can't really tell if the images are good or bad. So I highly recommend you look at the Flickr page if you are interested in the resolution of the camera bodies, the lenses that I use. As I say, these sample images, I've used a range of lenses, from the lovely 35 to, which one's that? That's this one. The 35 to 100 f2.8. That's the Panasonic's Mark I version. I got it really cheap. 35 to 100 f2.8. That's basically 70 to 200. Look how compact that is on a micro four thirds body. Although the body's big, the lenses are so compact that counteracts the fact that the body's heavy. Not all micro four thirds bodies are. The Olympus bodies are very compact and they're great as well. But yeah, very good. Very good indeed. Now, the software that I'm using here, I use predominantly 2 pieces of software which I'm going to promote. You know, I think I have a right to promote what I use, and I have paid for them, haven't been sent them free of charge. One of them is Capture One. Capture One Pro, great bit of software, fantastic alternative to Lightroom, works brilliant with Fuji files, certainly better than what Lightroom does. And I would say download the trial version. You've got all your everything, all the settings. You've got exposure adjustments, your library, so you know you can catalog your images easily. Lovely bit of software. Keyboard shortcuts just the same. What's my comb doing there? Just the same as you would have with Lightroom. You know, it's brilliant. Now, there'll be a link in the description to download a trial version of Capture One, and if you do like it, use the code AVP10 to get 10% off your purchase price or your subscription, because they offer both. You can either buy it outright or you can subscribe to it and pay a monthly fee, and you get 10% off. AVP10. The other bit of software which I highly recommend. I highly recommend this for many reasons. Again, it's got your catalogue, so you can catalogue your images, all your editing features you would need, like you would have in Capture One or Lightroom. and you can replace the skies. It's got sky replacement, AI, artificial intelligence, so it can automatically make the adjustments. Brilliant bit of software. Download the trial version again from the same link. Download the trial version of AI or Luminar 4, and if you use the code AVP when you check out, you'll get $10 off. So again, a great deal and a great price. That isn't expensive. That varies in price depending on the time of year, but you're looking at around about 60-70 quid for Luminar 4 or AI2. I think there's an AI3 as well now, but fantastic bits of software. So there we go. That's my thoughts on the software, my thoughts on these two cameras. I love going out and about doing me cat photography or bird photography, not with the Gh5 Mark II, with the G9. And I use this predominantly for stills, although I do use it in the studio here for video, but predominantly for stills because it just nails the image. It's great. And then the Gh5 Mark II, I haven't had it very long, but I'm using this predominantly for video because I'm finding the autofocus is really good and it's a great video camera. It's also compatible, which you would expect it to be, with the DMW XLR1, which is basically this little box here. So you can plug in your XLR microphones into the GH5 or the Gh5 Mark II. So you've got your two XLR inputs on the side there. And that's great because it saves cables. This just slots straight onto the shoe of the camera. That just slots straight into there like that, and you lock it on, and then you can plug in your XLR microphones. Sweet as a nut. It takes its power from the Gh5 Mark II. This is not compatible with a G9, and there's another reason why this camera is a more video-centric camera than what the G9 is. So there we go. That's the quick comparison between the Gh5 Mark II. Sorry, geez, it does get confusing. The Gh5 Mark II and the G9. I hope you found that useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I'm getting a lot of really good feedback now. I'm really enjoying the feedback that I'm getting. It's wonderful. So please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the content of this video. That helps me grow the channel. I have had one person say, I said in the previous video actually, he commented that he desubscribed from me because I kept saying, please subscribe. I think he got a bit peed off with it, but I've got to do that. I don't get paid for making these videos. Manufacturers are not sending me kit. I haven't got a big enough channel for doing that. I'm funding all the kit and I fund everything. So it is really important that I can get a little bit of revenue from Google for the channel, and also from my affiliate links. There will be again a description in the description below, a link to my Amazon affiliate page. So if there's anything you want, use that. You don't pay any more, and Amazon have got a fantastic returns policy, so you're not going to be lumbered with it if it doesn't work. There we go. And if you want to treat me to a tea or coffee by, again, there'll be a link in the description below to that. Helps me fund the channel. It's a little bit of support, but every little helps. So thanks very much indeed, and cheers for now, and stay tuned for more videos relating to video and photography. Bye.